Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So let's begin our session with a wonderful quote. If your presence doesn't make an impact, your absence won't make a difference. So for starting a new chapter of learning, I Divya Jain, being your host for today's event, wants to extend a warm greetings and good morning to all of you present here. On behalf of the whole SEMS family, I welcome you all to our international webinar on creating a lasting impact. Today, we come together to explore the art of leaving a significant mark on the world around us, whether in our personal lives or professional endeavors. We all have the potential to make a difference that resonates far beyond our own time. Let's ignite the spark of inspiration and dive into the journey of creating a lasting impact. And to add our guest of honor and today's speaker, Mr. Rahul Jain. It is a great honor to have you with us, sir. We are very grateful to have your presence. Now, let me introduce our today's speaker to you all. He is a third generation entrepreneur, a professional speaker, and a life coach. He has an undying spirit and passion for inspiring people. He is the managing director at J. Rajendra Group. Through his initiative, Living Life, over the past 18 years, he has touched thousands of lives through his training programs, talks, and keynote addresses across the country. He is the 2023 District 126 champion in ISC, ESC, and TTC, and second place in HSC. Perhaps a record holder across Toastmaster International District for being a podium finisher in all four groups in a single constant season. Now, over to you, sir. You must start your session.
Thank you, Diva, for that warm welcome. And it's an honor to be sharing this space with all of you all today. 17 of you all, except me. And it's an opportunity that I take, like I do for every opportunity that comes along me, to make an impact. I would be glad at the end of the session to have made an impact and left you all with a few tools with which you all can make a lasting impact in the way you lead your lives, in the way you impact the people around you with your communication and with your ideas. So before I begin, again, requesting all of you all to please switch on your videos and use the chat option or unmute whenever you have any questions or when I'm asking any question. So please feel free to respond or engage during the session, because that is where the real learning will happen. If it's just a one-way talk, I think you could as well go to a YouTube session and watch this. You do not waste your time on a Monday morning while you could do better things out there. So engage, that is where the real learning will happen during this session. Thank you for all those people who switched on. First of all, just let me ask, where are you all from? If you can use the chat option and just reply, where are you joining us from? The city, just the city or country if you're from outside India. Bangalore, wonderful. Hyderabad. By the way, I'm from Hyderabad, just for everyone's information. Mansa, Hyderabad. Okay, interesting. So we have spread across India today in this session, and I'm waiting for, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, but I can see Faisal Viojo. I don't know where you're from. It would be great if you can just unmute and speak if you are not able to type, if you're driving or something. Okay, let me get going with the session now. Please use the emojis, the chat option to engage during the session. That will help me in understanding that you are understanding. Before I get going with the session, first and foremost, at the outset, I would want to ask you all that whatever life that you have lived, you all would have at some point in time been influenced or impacted by someone. Specifically, let me tell the difference between having the knowledge or having someone as memory and having been influenced by someone. Today, if you open your mobile phone and you have so many videos, you feel you are impacted by them, and yet you live the same life. You do the same things without any change in you. They are a part of your memory. While if you do something which has changed the way you do things or has come into the picture live with your being, that is where I call impact. Now ask yourself the question, who or how have you been impacted the most by someone in your life? You can just unmute and speak. You are able to unmute. Yeah, Manasa, go ahead.
So regarding which criteria or category?
Anything, any part of your life, professionally, personally, in your ambitions, have you been influenced or have you been impacted by someone?
Coming to the spirituality part, which related to the healing of 7 chakras. Recently by Pyramid from Kathal, Guruji. And coming to the knowledge sector, a doctor is into physiotherapy, but he may usually have this kind of foundations, and he may interact a lot with all kinds of subjects, with
Okay.
interdisciplinary groups. Dr. Ravindra sir.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
coming to the
Yeah, Manasa, I have to stop you there. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share who or how someone has impacted you? Dinesh, Vikram, you're unable to mute? Yeah, go ahead, Dinesh.
A very good morning, all. If you ask me, who is the impactful person in my life, I would say two persons, but one quickly. One is Virendra Sehwag from the cricket sports because I admire him a lot because of the way he chose to not to have fearful in facing any bowler, and he come and play his own way of shot, and that I take it to my life saying like not to fear of anything and just live my life in a way I would like to go ahead. And second, in terms of my ex-manager, Mr. Subramanian from Bangalore, and he is such an inspiring person in his personal life as well as professional life. So I just got inspired as well as influenced from his way of good behaviors and commanding, leading. I can say many aspects.
Interesting. Thank you, Dinesh, for sharing. Vikram, you're sharing something.
Yes, Rahul. I was going to talk about my first manager who I worked with that rather started my career. So she was very meticulous at her work, and she taught me how to deal with stakeholders, how to be effective at work. So I still follow whatever she taught me, right? So that's the kind of impact she had, and I spent good 3 years with her. And even today, I adore the way she managed things and multiple challenging stakeholders.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vikram, for sharing that. Thank you, Manasa, Dinesha. Again, requesting all of you all to come on videos and share whenever it's possible. If you're not able to come on video, please use the chat option to share for the question that I'm asking. Now, if I talk of impact, over the years, what I've realized is that if there's one skill that overrides every other skill is the way you communicate with people, and that is where impact is derived. And when I'm saying communication, I'm not just explicitly saying the way you talk, but the content of what you're sharing and how you're sharing is what makes the underlying difference in the way you impact world. Today's session, when I'm talking about creating an impact, I'm going to share with you 6 elements that I feel become the fundamental pillars through which you can influence and you can make a lasting impact. The point is, many a times you could have come across situations or instances where you are suddenly motivated, you're suddenly inspired for one instance, and after the one day happens, or after 1 week, if I ask you what is the title of the program, it's because there are fundamental pillars which are missing in those elements, which are not creating a lasting impact. The purpose of this session is to help you understand how do we create a lasting impact. You can have a showmanship, you can crack a joke, you can have an entertaining session. The purpose of it, if it is entertainment, well served. But if you're trying to create an impact, always remember the pillars with which we are going to discuss are the fundamentals through which the lasting impact can be created. Because I've come across so many massively knowledgeable and intelligent people falter in the impact that they create, which doesn't last. And I've seen some very novice, naive, not educated people creating a very deep impact in the lives of others. So while I take you through the session, I want you to constantly be reflecting on the examples that you just shared or the people that came to your memory right now, and ask this question: is this the reason why this person created an impact on me? Because ultimately, at the end of it, if you have a toolkit of how you can create an impact on others, you will have answers to how you are going to communicate, how you are going to lead your life so that it creates an impact. That is where, at the end of the session, I want you all to go back with the insights of what creates a lasting impact. I'm a firm believer that communication, beyond the rules of what you see, the grammar, language, English, and the nitty-gritties of what is the science behind communication, is just a part of the communication. The real communication is an art. But the challenge is, it is modern art. Some sell for peanuts and some are worth millions. So beyond the rules, here what we're going to be talking of is beyond the rules. Here in this one session, I can't be training you on how to speak the language well, or the words that you use, or the grammatical correction and all those things. But I'm going to talk of the skill, which is the art part of the science of communication, with which you can use that irrespective of the language that you speak. You can use it in your language and how you're doing it. The point is, communication is, I'm going to be focusing on the artistic part of the communication, which you can use to make an impact. Let's get going. These are insights. Please know this is not science. This is not a hard rule where I'm going to share these are 6 pillars only, and beyond that, there's nothing. These are my experiences, my, I would say, in experiments with life, and over the past 18 years, the work that I've been doing as a speaker and as an individual, as a businessman, as a husband, as a father, the things that I have in different roles that I'm playing, these are my observation, and based on which I've created these 6 pillars. So let's get going right into the 6 pillars. While I said the word creating impact, the 6 pillars is the impact. Please note the word impact. Let's get going with the first thing. I. What is the most important element of communication? I? No, it is not I. The purpose of communication is the idea that you want to transcend from you to the world, and the purpose it means. It is not you, it is the idea that you have, and what is the purpose that you want that idea to meet. We often forget that communication is just a means. Communication is the means through which we are getting our idea across, and it is not an element to brand or create a perception about you or who you are. One of the biggest challenge where I see people while they're communicating is they make it about themselves, not the idea in itself. Imagine you are telling plastic use is bad, and you are the CEO of a company which is into processing plastic or promoting how to go about not using plastic or using biodegradable plastic. You have the nitty-gritties, you have the knowledge of what is happening at all. But if you are selling that idea to a school student, if you're selling that idea to maybe a corporate house, if you're selling that idea to a plastic activist who wants to ban plastic, the language that you use and the impact that you're going to have is not going to be on how much knowledge you have about plastic and how it degrades or what all it is. It's about how you want the purpose of it. Please do not use plastic to be sent across to the receiver. So imagine you're doing this session for a school students using pictures as an example of cow or how marine life is depleting or having its impact because of plastic, and showcasing them with a visual appeal why it is bad can create an impact with your purpose. The same example, if you go about dealing with a corporate house, you want to tell them that please avoid plastic, but it will have its cost repercussions. You won't go with the emotional appeal. You will go with the logic appeal of how it is the responsibility of yours to take care that you are not further increasing the menace of plastic. So you're going to use the logical examples, the cost and maybe the long-term benefit of how avoiding this plastic will help you in it. And if you're talking to the fraternity, which is about maybe the people who are experts in the minerals or the science behind it, you will be talking the technical jargon. Now, here the question: if you think you are going to talk about how to avoid plastic in the same language to the school student, to the corporate house, and to the activist, you are going to fail. You can. How many of you all have seen people who go on stage and talk, and at the end of it, you say, wow, what a speaker, what a flair in the language. So impressive. And at the end of it, you ask, Kehna kya chahte ho? What do you want to say? What do you want me to do? And after 1 week, you have no idea of what all that flair is. You remember the person. You remember the person. Please note, when you remember the person, they have impacted your memory and how you think about them and not the idea. So when you're talking of communication, the underlying focus has to be the purpose of the idea that you're trying to meet and not yourself. And that is when the impact will come. Today, you have hundreds of videos in your mobiles right now, which can solve every problem in your life. But how is your life? It is still the same. Why? Because they are a part of your memory. They are part of your hard disk. They are not a part of your action. You will remember the person, but you will miss the idea. And you cannot be creating an impact by building it as a brand image for you through communication. So please note, communication is a means. It is not an element which you're using for branding yourself. If it doesn't meet the purpose, if the idea is not transferred from you to action of the others, it makes no sense. How many of you all, I'll ask you, how many of you all know Shashi Tharoor? Raise your hand. Shashi Tharoor. Interesting. Now let me ask you, tell me one idea that you loved about Shashi Tharoor. And I'm not talking of language. I'm not talking of language.
He speaks his mind.
No. I'm talking of one idea. Tell me one idea that you remember that Shashi Tharoor shared this and I'm impacted by it. You won't be able to. Because his purpose, I'm not saying he's wrong. His purpose is to promote linguistic abilities. You'll be inspired to learn language and be inspired to look at language and learn language and become better at language. But you do not remember his ideas. His purpose, I'm not saying he's wrong. His purpose itself is to promote linguistic abilities and not the idea in itself. Now let me ask you, how many of you all remember Sudha Murthy or know Sudha Murthy? Tell me one idea that she shared. Don't share, because I know everyone will have an answer now. because you are impacted by the idea. Now look at the flair between the difference of flair and the charisma and the personality between Shashi Tharoor and Sudhamurthy. Sudhamurthy is full of flaws. The language that she used, mix of Hindi, here, there, the accent that she has. Look at APJ Abdul Kalam. The accent that he has, if you tell that he's not APJ Abdul Kalam and you ask me to listen to him, I may not listen to him. The point is, and yet you are impacted by the idea that these people carried and not by who they are in themselves. So folks, the first idea about creating lasting impact is to move from yourself or what you know or who you are to the idea and the purpose that it means. Look at instances where people remember you, but don't remember what you said or what you want them to do. That's because it was overridden by who you are and less about the idea in itself. I hope that's clear, everyone. Okay, wonderful. Let's move to the next point. One of the fundamental reasons why we speak our language and we want to make an impact, the driving force with the second part is merging with the audience. How often do you change? How often do you customize what you're sharing based on whom you're talking to? Now, this is at an individual level. I have something called as a communication audit. Right now, if you open your chats or if you open your mails, look at how you have sent a mail to someone or you're chatting with someone and trying to impact or create and share an idea. Ask yourself, if I can change the receiver, whomsoever you sent the message to, if I can move that person from one person to another, if you can do that without changing your message, there's a flaw in the way you're communicating, because you are communicating with this, I like to call it, whomsoever it may concern. If you are communicating with this idea of whomsoever it may concern, you will eventually impact no one, or you won't be in charge of whom you want to impact. Ask yourself, how are you customizing your idea and the impact that you want to this audience, to this person that I'm speaking to? What element am I bringing in for that person to feel that I am talking to him? Well, as an example, if I'm talking to Vikram, I could talk of an example of, remember our UBS days? In the way we worked around and the teams that we had, that is creating an impact with Vikram because it is him in UBS. There's a technique called as potent imaging. Now, while you're conversing here, it's largely while I'm doing this session, I do not have this opportunity because there's a larger number of people. While you're conversing with someone, ask yourself, how can you bring in that person into your story? So while you're talking to, suppose Dinesh, while I'm engaging or talking to him about some idea, while there's something called as potent imaging, while Dinesh responds, if I don't know Dinesh, while Dinesh responds and he shares certain things, you pick up a cue from what Dinesh is speaking. You pick up a cue. As an example, Dinesh says, now Dinesh said, Virendra Sehwag. I can pick up if I'm talking about some idea about maybe persuasive or being daring. Dinesh, do you remember how Virendra Sehwag got to the 300 with a 6? That is a memory. And while I'm talking to Dinesh, I'm bringing in the example of Virendra Sehwag. Why? Because now Dinesh feels I'm speaking to him and not to anyone. I could be taking a random example of Steve Jobs or Dinesh Karthik or Virat Kohli or Mahendra Singh Dhoni. But if I am talking to Dinesh and I want to create an impact, using the idea that a cue has been shared by Dinesh will help you in making inroads into the mind of the other person. That other person feels I am talking to him and not to anyone out there. That is where this idea of merging with the audience evolves. While you're engaging with people, if you can broadly stereotype or categorize people, the audience that you're talking. As an example, if I talk to 10th class students, I know the fear that they have about board exams, or if I'm talking to them around the February time, when the board exams are happening, I know I try to bring in that element of exam pressure and try to release that. Whatever be the talk, I try to use that as an example because that is where they start to feel, okay, he's talking about 10th, he's talking about me, he's talking about my situation now, he's trying to solve my situation rather than give whatever gyan that he has. Look at how you can merge with the audience to make a deeper impact. So there are two things that you can use in this. One is what I already shared, potent imaging. Second is a common example for everyone. How many of you know what is the sweetest thing that you can listen to? What is the sweetest thing that you can listen to? A little louder, Manasa.
Kind words or few words?
Even more sweeter than that, it's something that all of us long for and are constantly even without realizing it, we have an unconscious bias towards it. It is your name. It is your name. Here, as an example, while I'm talking to three people who are visible, I do not have a chance to look at or talk to the other people in the audience because I'm not knowing who they are or how they are. But already during the last 20 minutes of this session, I've already taken Manase's name, Vikram's name, and Dinesha's name 6 times each. And that was a conscious approach. And now, if I had not taken any of your name as an example, the power of the impact that I'll be having, or the memory part and the connect that I'll be having, will be lasting for a longer period when compared to someone whom I'm not taking the name. In your personal conversations, always remember, using of someone's name is one of the most common example of connecting to the individual while you're wanting to create an impact. And what is the most common thing that we forget? You meet someone new. After 5 minutes, what do you ask? What's your name? I forgot. I forgot your name. I'm sorry. And why do we do so? Because while you're engaging with anyone, the first step is what we think of is, what should I say? Your focus is on me. And so the first thing that the person says is, hi, my name is Rahul. My name is Dinesha or Dinesh or Manasa. And you are lost in what do you want to say more than what is the other person listening. And this is what needs to change to create an impact. You got to become a good listener while you are engaging with people, because that is where by listening, you get the name, you get the cues. How did I remember Virender Seva? How did I remember spirituality of Manasa? I listen. And that is where, as we progress in the conversation, we can use them to build a deeper connect and bring them into the session again. Yashpal in the chat said song. He could be something, he could be someone who's connected with music. What kind of music? The more we discuss, the more we have open-ended discussion, open-ended questions through which we can get deeper. You can use the connect of individuals, merge with them, connect with them, and get deeper on the point that you want to share using their world. Please note, the idea is you can do it all by yourself, but to have a deeper connect and the message to transcend smoothly into their lives, the focus is, how are you connecting to them? How are you connecting to their world? That's the thing about merging with the audience. So the first two things, idea, not yourself, merging with the audience and connecting at the deeper level. Third, IMP. The third part is where we have come across individuals who sell, who not sell in the sense sell a product, but who are having an idea and they have that idea and as an absolute sense that this is the only thing which is right. So here the third point is personalize. With regard to the ideas that you have, the things that you do and how you do them, the fundamental thing to understand is people are open to ideas when you are open to ideas. When you have a definitive answer of this is the only thing, people start to create walls. People start to create walls and they get disconnected with you when you say something which is definitive and clear, and that's the only choice. For that, we need to learn the first and foremost thing is that what we have is an opinion. What we have is just an opinion or one perspective of how things are. And you may never know a better or a different perspective that the other person has if you come across as definitive and closed about what you're sharing. So always remember, personalize what you're saying with the words something like I feel, even for emotions, even for statistics, even for information that you're sharing. Remember to share it with the I word, because that is where the other person listens. Okay, he feels. He's not saying this is the truth or the ultimate truth. He's saying I feel. By personalizing the language of how you're speaking, you leave open the option for someone to share, for someone to bring their idea onto the table. And that's when you can counter that. Not that you do not, or you do not feel that it is definitive. But if you leave open the window, you bring them into the conversation and then counter them with logic or whatever persuasion that you have of the idea that you want to share. Bring them onto the table. Once you bring them onto the table, you still have a chance of getting a deeper impact by making inroads. Because once the person is closed like this, you do not have cracks. You do not have cracks to get into the person. And the one very easy way to create this block is to tell that this is the truth and the ultimate truth. You see a lot of people who are against or not into religion is because when some religion says that this is the ultimate truth and this is the only truth and there's nothing beyond that, you are closing the walls to the other people who could still find value in yours. But if you keep it tentative, in our religion, we feel this. In our religion, we do it this way. How do you do it? Or what is your logic behind it? And not with a commenting or an idea of putting them off or telling or belittling them. in the idea that they have, but with the idea of exploration and understanding what they have. So personalize what you feel, what you think, and express that, and open the windows for the other people to get in or get onto the table. You may not close the case, you may not persuade or push your agenda or your idea to them, but if you bring them to the table, that in itself could be a win. So third thing, personalize your engagement. Fourth, how many of you have come across speakers or individuals who are flawed, full of flaws? They cannot speak proper English. They cannot, they are like fumbling, or they are not confident, not exactly confident, I would say, but they are full of flaws in what we see as great speakers. People often think impact is about how perfect or how fine-tuned, how polished one person is, not realizing, Vikram, when you said your manager, Manasa, when you said your spiritual guru, or Dinesh, when you said Virendra Sehwag, look at the ideas or how these people are. These are people who have come across to you as flawed. They are okay with vulnerabilities. They are okay with whatever they are and however they are, full of flaws. And yet they inspire you. Manasa, go ahead if you want to say something. You're on mute.
They are accepting as such.
Exactly.
They are not manipulating anyone.
They're not manipulating. They're not trying to showcase a picture like all of our lives in Facebook. Look at our lives in Facebook.
Yeah.
If people see your life, my life, anyone's life on Facebook, they would say, what a wonderful life we have. Come sit with me, you will get a different picture altogether. You'll get a split personality in who I am while you come and sit with me. But the fact is, the deepest form of influence doesn't come from the polish or the fine-tuning or the language or the flair or the charisma. It comes from authenticity. IMPA. Authenticity of who you are and being accepting of the flaws that you have and are willing to showcase and wear them, wearing your scars with pride. When you are authentic, that's the reason. Look at how much fan following or the impact Sudhamurthy has, despite all the flaws. She's not that corporate woman in that suit, coat, polished, rare hair, dressed occasion for the occasion, all that thing. Look at how she is. And yet she connects and creates an impact because that is where she has built her authentic self. Recently, there was a talk by Sudhamurthy about how, I think it was at the Economic Times Award, of how she talked about Narayan Murthy and how the roles that she plays. No lady would want to go stand there and embarrass her husband the way she spoke. And yet people saw the warmth in that, the authenticity of how the real marriage worked and how it worked and how much he uplifted Narayan Murthy and how she put herself in the picture with flaws. Get comfortable with your flaws. You might lose a bit of fan following, but those are those people who are looking for perfection in the things that they are seeing and not looking for the impact in their lives. When you are flawed, you have a chance to connect at a deeper level with people that he or she is like me. I also have these challenges. How is she doing it? I also have these problems. I've had my bad childhood. And yet she's doing it well. What can I learn from that? How can I learn from that? That deeper connect which happens comes with authenticity, because at the end of it, we all as humans recognize that there is nothing which is perfect. In communication, while we try to master the art of communication, please remember, real stories are raw, vulnerable, and full of flaws. If at all, there is anything which you see perfect, it is made up. If at all you see anything that is perfect, it is made up, because there are no perfect stories, only perfect presentation of flawed stories. Look at how you are accepting yourself and you are okay to show the vulnerability, show the process, show the pain, show the experience of how all things evolve. If you show it as a beautiful picture, at the end of it, you will have a picture. You won't have an impact. While if you're trying to focus on the impact, you won't have the impact. That moves me to the fifth point, IMPAC. How many of y'all have fallen prey to a credit card scam or MLM, multi-level marketing, or instances where you have believed when someone pitched to you? I have. I've had my instances where I've believed when someone said something and I got influenced by that. If you are, you might be nodding as a no, but at some point in time, if you were broken or you were heartbroken with regard to, I thought of it in this way, but it happened in this way. If someone influenced you into doing something, being something, or believing something, it is because of one technique that people use, which can be the game changer for the way you can impact people. It can be manipulative. It can be used in the wrong way, but it is a game changer, which is confidence. It doesn't matter what you speak. It is how you speak that makes the difference. Look at how, if I tell you a few sentences here and there, I'll just lift my finger if I'm saying it here and then see how you feel about it while I'm sharing those sentences. Does that make sense? What are your thoughts about it? Maybe we should try this project. Let's try and see what we can get out of it. I think we should do this. I believe this would work if we go ahead with it. Let's give it a shot. I'm sorry, can I have a minute of yours? When you have time, please get back to me. I have something important to discuss. Same ideas said in a different way. One is waiting and being submissive, and one is confident and expressing and giving yourself the respect and having the power in the way you're communicating. Same ideas communicated in different ways.
It's like English and general IELTS.
Anything. I'm not just talking about language or the flair, but the underlying perception with which you speak.
Yeah.
I could be doing this entire session in the way, idea is important, but we often think of ourselves first. And now go back to the first point that I mentioned. Now look at the difference. What sells is how you present it. Please note, a lot of frauds, a lot of people who misuse it is that they do not have the content within, or they're trying to manipulate, because people are sold with confidence. The people who have fall trap because of the confidence which comes to the fore. So please note, if you have a good intent, if you have a message, the idea that you have, the way it comes across makes the entire difference in whether it will land and it will create the ripple that you want or not. So as an example, right now, if you want to fight over the idea, climate change is a problem. What are we doing about it? I could come with a completely counter argument full of statistics and logic and a persuasion telling you that all this is nonsense. It is the business people who have created this situation. The world has existed for millions of years and it will still exist. I can sell you that point and make you careless about the climate change idea. Or the other way around, where I can persuade you and make you sensitive towards the idea. Both things can be sold by me, all based on confidence. So the way you persuade or you talk to people, when you are talking, always remember, this is one line that I say: believe that you matter and what you have to say matters. Believe that you matter and what you say matters. That is going to be a game changer in your perception. And thereafter, everything that you do, you could learn, you could have mistakes, you could have flaws. But the first step, the footing step, the first impression, or the way you're going to get the idea into the world is with confidence. Be tentative. It's okay. I'm happy to learn. I'm okay. I'm open to ideas. But go ahead with confidence in the way you're speaking. That brings me to the last point, which is T. We have heard wonderful ideas many a times, wonderful stories. Now, someone we have Gansham sir mentioning in the chat about advertisements are a impactful thing. Again, they're playing to two things. Advertisements play to the memory so that your brand recalling works, and that recalling in your choices when you do things, because you have it on the top of your mind, it works. But when it comes to other ideas where we are talking of conversations and the way we are trying to impact, always remember there's something called as the idea in itself and what you want to do as a result of idea. People are masters at this. Emotional story, wonderful statistics presented, wonderful idea shared. But if you do not give the audience beyond this, they'll be stuck. What do I do? Now, at the end of the session, you might ask, impact is okay. What do I do out of it? If I do not have something called as trigger to call to action or call to emotion, the entire setup or the idea is flawed because it becomes a memory. A lot of advertisements, when you talk of it, see advertisements today, you'll say, how is this related to Airtel? How is it related to selling a SIM card? Okay, now they're making sense with the 4G, 5G and the ads which are showing relevance. There are some ads which you'll see which have no relevance at all. And at the end of it, they'll say, buy this.
5-star.
Can you come again?
5-star ad.
5-star. So there's no relevance to, or Sprite ad, whatever is the ad where they're talking of Mountain Dew. There's no actual link to they having that drink and doing something out of that drink. But they're trying to create that branding with it. So I'm not saying they're wrong. Please note, they are serving a purpose of their own. Everyone serves a purpose of their own. For them, the intention of advertisement may not be purchasing it directly or showing them a logic that this product does this. But for them, it is to create a brand which is at the top of their mind, which creates an impact. Eventually, when they go to a supermarket, they'll remember Sprite, some nonsense ad, but they'll remember the name Sprite. And that will affect in they buying that over the other brands which are not known. So here, focus on whatever you're having as a message, as a takeaway, trigger action or trigger emotion, and make people move with your idea. With only the idea in itself and you becoming a memory, it doesn't leave or make a difference if it doesn't move and have a call to action. Here, let me broadly just summarize the 6 pointers that we talked of. Idea, not yourself. Merging with the audience. M. Personalizing your message. It's your opinion. Authenticity of what you want to share. Confidence with which you share. And having a call to action. Triggering action or emotion is the purpose. Following these 6 principles is where you can create a lasting impact, how you are going to have your message and the impact to last longer. And if you have done it well, it becomes a part of the person who's receiving's being. So whatever idea that you're sharing, it can be just information. It can be a persuasion. It can be motivation. It can be inspiration. Whatever you're doing in your conversations, ask yourself what is the purpose of it, and then look at these elements, these 6 elements that we talk, and see how you can integrate them into your communication. How is it that you can integrate these into your communication and the impact will be lasting longer? That brings me to the bonus point. Extra milta hai to acha lagta hai. If you get something extra over what is expected, beyond the impact, can you really make an impact without speaking?
Maybe by giving a picture.
Picture, okay. You're still doing something, okay, interesting. Dinesh, Vikram?
Your smile.
Yes, communication can be done with
That is also part, non-verbal communication, or here when Manasa said visual, that's a visual aid, still a part of your communication. How are you doing it? The biggest may not be, I'm not referring it to as one communication, but the biggest trump card that we have in creating impact is the word impact. The most credible form of communication or creating a lasting impact is following up with action. It is important to act. Without that, all your communication, all your ideas will falter and fall flat. Eventually, when people see what you have shared and what your actions are, have a disconnect. So always remember, it is important to act for you to create a lasting impact that persists and charges ahead. Today, if you look at any personality that you come across, they are not speaking. Just a visual of them inspires you and makes it important because they have acted in sync with what they have spoken or their idea. That is where it is important to act. And that is where you all move forward and create the ripple by following up what you say or what you think or the way you express. All the ideas that we talked about in impact, whatever you're doing, if there is no follow-up action to it, of something which is in sync with what you have said, all this power will become a fraud. All this learning and the mastery that you do with impact will become a fraud if there's no follow-up action to what you are creating the message about. So folks, I hope you all had some interesting insights from this session. Focus on the impact. I'll be sharing in the chat the words and the meaning of that. In the meantime, I'm open to questions. If you have anything, I'm more than happy to answer. Divya, over to you. If you want to manage the Q&A in the meantime.
Wow, what a wonderful knowledge given by you, sir. I hope our audience learned many new things from this session. I would like to highlight some of the points from the session, like overall creating impact in our lives is essential because it not only benefits others and society, but also enhances our own well-being and fulfillment. It is a powerful force that can drive progress and save a better future for all of us. It was very effective for our audience. Again, thank you all for joining us and sharing your experience, your precious time and knowledge for us. Sir, there are a few questions which our audience wants to be answered. So with your permission, shall we?
Sure, go ahead.
So my first question is, how can someone leverage their unique strength and talents to contribute to causes or areas they are passionate about?
For everyone's information, the speaking thing which I'm doing right now is not my business. I run a family jewelry business, which is with over 125 crore turnover business. That is my bread and butter. I earn my livelihood from that. And over the past 18 years, I have been going to schools, colleges, and conducting workshops on life skills. Something like communication is one of them among the other life skill programs that I conduct for the benefit of students and communities at large. And I do not charge. I do not charge unless there is a financial benefit that someone is deriving from it. Here is a classic place where this is my talent. Not that I'm not talented in business. This is something which I deeply resonate with. And please note, it's not like I'm giving some minor quality or biscuits just for the sake of just feeling good about myself. I am constantly committed to growing as a speaker, constantly focused on how I can do better. I review every program that I do, look at the recording that we have of every session that I do, and I want to grow despite no monetary incentive in it. I have this talent. Focus on what is it that you want to, what is it that you intend to do with your life? What is your purpose? What is it that you want to accomplish at the end of 50 years, maybe? How do you want people to remember you? And there, if you do not leverage on your strength that you have to serve, to add to a purpose, please note, making money is not bad. If you do not have a business, you will have to make money from this. But the idea is, look at how you are exploring your strengths to find an answer to your passion and connecting them. A lot of people think these are two exclusive things, that if I have to follow passion, I cannot make money. And if I do my job or that full-time thing, I cannot follow my passion. It's a process through which you can find a common space. Can be that your passion becomes your profession, or like what I'm doing currently. I have my business. I cannot let go of my commitments, and I have my talent where I'm managing that. And yet finding space to pursue my passion with which I have a sense of purpose for my life. So leveraging your strengths, find a way. You do not have an answer. Right now, if I tell you follow your passion, you might say, where will my child eat my breakfast from? I'll need to serve them. But you will have to find a technique through which over the years, we are just comfortable and do not want to change our comfort zone. And we want the comfort of following our passion. You cannot have both. For the last 18 years, while I said I'm into the business, I've worked for UBS for 5 years, and then for the last 10 years into business. My consistent routine for the past almost 17 to 18 years, every day I work from morning, 9:30 to evening 7:30, 8. Every day night from 10:30 to 11:30 or 12, I sit on working on living life, on building these programs, building my ideas and using them. And I'm married and I have 2 children and I have a business which is massive in size and it has its own tensions. And yet my passion and the commitment that I'm giving, the time that I'm giving to this is non-negotiable. And that is where I am okay with the pain while I'm pursuing my passion. Please note, people have this very bad idea that pursue your passion, your life, you won't be working. It will be fun. It is not. It's just that I find a reason to embrace the pain that comes along because it adds to the purpose and adds to the joy in my life. And that is where I do things. And I found my common ground. I found my common ground where I'm able to engage and use my talents and also pursue my passion. Please don't stop having this image that you have to quit your job to follow your passion. No, it is not. Divya.
Yes, so my next question will be, how do you balance short-term wins with long-term sustainability when working towards creating lasting impact?
Begin small, be consistent. Begin small, be consistent. A lot of us think of big things, and I do not say do not dream big. We all have big dreams. We all should aspire for big dreams. But please note, the steps to getting to that dream will be very small. And more importantly, more than small, they are consistent. That is what will get you there. I run this initiative called as Speak Up Club. We meet now. It's a different format. But during COVID, we started with something called as a Speak Up Club, where people used to come and we used to have themes on which people used to talk. We used to engage, discuss, and learn about whatever the theme of that meeting is. We began that on 23rd May 2020. We continued that theme for 125 Saturday nights consistently without a break, without one Saturday break. And that was even after COVID went off, people went offline, people have their own lives, they have to enjoy, they are going in the physical space. Everything could have been an excuse for me to stop things. But we continued. We continued from where we started with an idea. During COVID times, everyone was at home, everyone will join, whatever they want to do, they can do. But after that, what? So when I'm talking of 125 Saturday nights, we are talking of almost a period of 2.5 years, with which every Saturday we continued with those sessions. And post that, like I said to you, it has to eventually convert into something big. What we started recently doing is from the start of this year, we converted that into a membership model where we deep dive into one topic, one experience at a time. And that's a paid membership model. Today, we are going to work on, what we are working on is the members. We meet every Friday night and deep dive into one topic and learn about that. It is about life skills. I'm not talking technical skills, life skills, communication and all that aspects. We deep dive and learn about that. And what we have converted that into is this model, which we call Speaker Club Inner Circle. And we still have every Friday, fourth Friday of every month, which is free for people to join. So if you follow me on my Instagram channel, you will see the posters coming out whenever it is. You can freely join. And like we are seeing this good work done by SEMS Foundation. We have, as a part of Living Life, we do these sessions every fourth Friday, and we deep dive and have an open mic or kind of a fun activity where we are learning while we are having fun through those sessions. So I hope that answers you, Divya.
Thank you, sir, for answering this question. So before ending the session, I would like to announce this winner for most engaging person during the session, and it goes to Chebuli Manasa. Sorry if I'm wrong, if I'm giving a wrong.
As soon as you said her name, she got disconnected. She's out. I'm switching off my video.
No problem, sir. Again, thank you all for attending today's webinar. And if you have any additional question, you may contact us by email or telephone. We are happy to provide you additional support to you. Please follow on our social media and subscribe our YouTube channel for new learnings. Thank you all for cooperating. So stay connected to us for new learnings. I, Divya Jain, being your host for today's event, signing off. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Divya,
everyone.
for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir.